The graphics are pretty good, and at times it shines and it brings out the environments, which are colorful and varied, and makes the environments feel alive and historic. But it has a lot of glitches, which brings you out of the game. I actually have someone floating in midair, which is another video I posted, if anybody's curious about that. The glitches are not a deal breaker, but it does bring the score down, but it's still an above average game graphically, so the graphics gets an above average score of a 4 out of a 5. The voice acting is awesome and really brings you into the story. The sounds of the environments are realistic, and I find myself eavesdropping on the citizens as they talk about their grievances with the British, which seem to be many, or just about plain life. The only negatives I could think of are the weapon sounds are weak, and the animal sounds were laughably bad at times for some animals. But that is just nitpicking, because as a whole the sound is near perfect, so the sound gets a perfect score of a 5 out of a 5. The story has always been the strong point of this series, and this game has the best story of the series. I find myself wondering who is really right, and if the Templars are not really the ones that are right. Not going to get into much details of the story, but the story is fantastic and shows that nothing is as black and white as you thought before the game. The story is perfect, so the story gets a perfect score of a 5 out of a 5. The controls are pretty good, but they are kind of inconsistent at times, and as a result, part of the controls are hard to get used to. I find myself jumping on buildings in chase missions when I do not want to, for example, and hope they can fix that in future games. The combat is great, and once you get used to the more simplified combat over the previous game, you'll be killing redcoats like a pro. I also enjoyed the ship missions, and the sea battles was the best part of the game, and the controls of the ship is amazing, and I'm sad that they did not put more of these missions in the game because they were too short. I'm also enjoying the fact that you get to play as Desmond Miles more than any other game of the series, but I'd like the next game in the series to have more modern day missions, which this game, like all other games in the series, was seriously lacking. I enjoyed the homestead missions as well, and it really helps you feel like you're helping the homestead grow. The other side quests are average and nothing great. I enjoyed the gameplay overall, but its inconsistencies bring the gameplay down, so it gets an above average score of a 4 out of a 5. The story is pretty long, and the side missions, which are decent, will make the game feel longer. There's some great multiplayer to be had as well, so you will be playing this game until the next game comes out in the series. So the replayability of this game gets a perfect score of a 5 out of a 5. The game has a somewhat long and engaging storyline which will have you playing to the end. There's also a great multiplayer aspect which is fun and will have you coming back for more. I recommend this game to the fans of the series, but if you did not like the other games in the series, I may recommend renting it because it's not a huge leap over the other games in the series, but it is a leap nonetheless.